Hello, welcome to the RAMcast, where we talk about all things related to Sioux Valley. This is your host, Brian Kirby, and as always, my co host, Jimmy Sickler.
Happy to be here, Mr. Kirby.
All right, this is another edition of our special spotlights, including with teachers here. And today we have none other than Mr. Robert Lusty.
Hello, it's good to be here.
All right, and so without further ado, we're going to get this show rolling. Hello, Mr. Lusty. Why don't you tell us the name of your high school, the town, state it was in, and what the mascot was?
Okay, so the high school that I attended was Faith Academy in Lake Arrowhead. I do not believe we had any particular mascot. It was a private school, and
Okay,
it was located on the banks of Lake Arrowhead, but we didn't actually have any sports team.
got it. All right.
Good. What song, band, TV show, movie have you been listening to or watching for fun lately, or anytime?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Tchaikovsky lately, mostly Swan Lake, and I thought the history of that song was particularly interesting because during the Soviet Revolution, they weren't allowed to have negative news. So if a leader died, they just play the Swan Lake theme from the ballet,
Hmm.
and then the other people would know that a great misfortune occurred in the Soviet Union without them actually saying anything.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
thought that was a
Wow.
clever way of getting around the, shall we say, the forbidden knowledge that they didn't want them to share information about in the Soviet Union.
Interesting. That's something I learned today, right there. All right. Hey, so which teacher had the most impact on you, and what do you remember about them?
Well, when I was growing up, my most influential teacher was a violinist by the name of Liz Arbus, and she was a very enthusiastic instructor, and she made it so that the learning music was more of a fun activity than just a grueling assignment. And so her method of teaching stuck with me for all these years, and it led me to where I am now.
Nice. What was your favorite extracurricular activity?
Oh, probably hunting, archery, and kayaking.
No,
All right.
interesting. I would honestly tell you, I would not have expected the first one you said, hunting there. That would not have been my first guess. All right. That's cool. So, what does Mr. Lusty do for fun when he's not at school?
When I'm not at school, I like doing cross country skiing, and so far that's the only hobby I've really adopted since I've been in Alaska. I'd like to do kayaking here, but the Susitna River doesn't seem exactly conducive to it, so I don't want
Yeah.
to do it unless I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, probably not the best choice right away.
So, when you were in school, what class did you find the most enjoyable?
By far, history and music; those two have always been my cup of tea.
Nice.
Ties right into what you're currently teaching. Awesome. All right. So, with whom did you have your most meaningful relationship during your years as a student? And it doesn't have to be a teacher; it could be anybody within the building.
Hmm. Well, I did have a group of friends in Lake Arrowhead that we did things with. We'd often meet on Thursday evenings and Wednesday nights and go off and we started our own informal fencing club, which was quite fun. But this is a very long time ago, so it was very fun to do, though.
Okay.
So, what is something you have learned about yourself since you started working with kids as a teacher?
Well, I found out that every class and every group of students has to have a different approach. So, what works for some students might not be particularly interesting for another group. So, I try to tailor my approach based on the interests of the groups I'm currently dealing with and just try to find out their interests and likes and dislikes and just work accordingly.
I like that.
All right. So, knowing what you know now, um, what advice would you give your younger self entering high school for the first time or leaving high school for post secondary training?
Well, my advice would be to keep on doing music as I did before because it is a gateway to many unexpected opportunities.
Yes.
Good. So, what is one of the most memorable moments you've had with your students?
Well, during my career as a living historian, I had quite a few interesting examples of working with students. And probably my favorite activity was doing the improvisation as a tax collector and trying to find things to tax the students on, including air and water. So I kept on trying to find excuses to find more taxes and seeing what their responses were. So I thought that was a pretty fun activity to do.
Interesting.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So, kind of along the same lines, what's one of the most embarrassing things that's happened to you in front of students?
Forgetting what I was going to say.
That'll do it. I've done
It
that
is.
before.
Yes.
So, May 23rd is our last day of school for this school year. What are your plans after that?
Oh, I'm probably going to go back to Southern California and enjoy visiting the rest of my family.
Sounds like a great opportunity for sure. Speaking of family, are any of them gonna come up and visit you while you're up here?
Oh, I'm sure they'd like to. During the summertime, I think my dad would like to have a crack at Denali, so we'll see.
Oh, okay. All
Wow.
right. So, one last question there for you is, do you have anything else you'd like to add to this?
None that I can think of.
All right. Sounds good. So this is going to conclude our special edition with Mr. Robert Lusty, and this is your principal, Mr. Kirby, here at Sioux Valley. And I want to thank my co-host, as always, Jimmy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me, Mr. Kirby.
And I also want to thank again our special guest, Mr. Robert Lusty. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy this podcast as another way to connect with our Sioux Valley community. Hope to see you at the next school event or around the community. Thanks for listening.